Hello everybody and welcome back. In this video I'm going to be building on one of my previous videos here on the channel, which was how to initially grow your Reiki business and how to attract clients. In that video that I'm going to link above me right here, if you haven't checked it out yet, you can see a lot of the, I want to say, pitfalls and hurdles and obstacles that I've had to overcome in my business. And so I thought I would build on that video and dive into a little bit more depth here to hopefully continue to help each and every one of you with your practice. So the first thing that I mentioned in the previous video, and I'm going to mention it again here now, is that you have to be doing daily self-practice, right? You have to be working on the self. And why is that so important? Well, because any frustrations that we have with our business, any evidence from the external world, friction or difficulty, I can't get clients, nothing seems to be taking off, nothing is working, and so on. Where are all of those beliefs or stories? Where are they held? They're held in the self, right? They're held in the body. So we need to be making sure that on a daily basis, you are doing something to turn in to the self, to turn inward and face all of those little demons or beliefs about yourself, or those frustrations or things that we're holding on to from the past, so that we can work to, really dig them out and try to get rid of them. And so what does that look like, a daily self-practice? Well, the only practice that I can comment on is my own. And for me, it is a nightly practice. I think many of you who have worked with me, you'll probably find this very familiar. My practice is each and every evening I sit in silent meditation in a dark room. Now, when I'm saying each and every evening, I'm meaning each and every evening. There might be some where, I'm traveling or it just didn't work out that I couldn't, get there for that day's practice. But I would say 9 days out of 10, I'm sitting for practice, okay? And in those moments of practice, what am I doing? I'm quieting down the body, quieting down the mind, and turning inward. Sometimes that's with plants. So, if you see my website, I do a lot of plant-assisted therapy. Sometimes that's just on my own, seated in Zazen. It doesn't make any difference, whatever approach is the most appropriate for you. And not only in general, but on a daily basis, right? I change my practice all the time, depending on how I feel that day, or where I feel compelled to move into, or what style of practice I want to bring forward. And so each and every night I'm sitting down doing self-work, doing self-practice, trying to dive into the self, into the muck, into the mud, right? And to work on it and to try to let that go. How long does that last for me? It depends. Sometimes it's a couple hours, sometimes it's 30 minutes. But the consistency here is every day, or as often as absolutely possible. Without excuse, without exception, we have to constantly dig into the self, right? Indeed, if you have a Reiki practice, you'll probably have recognized this, or you probably would have heard this from your teachers. The most important practice within Reiki, or one of them anyways, is daily self-work, right? Arguably the most important practice within Usui Reiki Ryoho is the daily recitation of the precepts. However, when we look at the precepts and we look at what they're actually trying to bring forward or elicit within us, what are they trying to say? They're trying to expand the body, right? Expand the space of the mind for us to go in and let go, right? They're trying to bring us inward. So we need to constantly stay on a trajectory that is anchored by and governed by self-work and daily self-practice. If we don't get rid of that garbage, right? The belief in the self, I can't make it, I'm never good enough, I don't have enough clients, I'm not smart enough, I'm not this enough, I'm not that enough, whatever it might be. And they'll come up, I promise, they always come up. If we don't get rid of those things, then when a client presents themselves, or an opportunity to teach, or a retreat, or whatever it might be, when those things come up, these nagging doubts that we have are going to either stymie our forward progress completely, meaning self-sabotage, you're going to shoot yourself in your own foot, you're not going to take the risk to take the jump, to find the client, to take the retreat, to do whatever, right? Or if that garbage and that muck inside has not been fully cleaned out, but it's been dislodged a little bit, you know, like you've done a little bit of work, but you're not fully cleaned out of those negative beliefs of the self, then when we are at our place to perform, we are most likely going to get caught in the resistance of the self, caught in the story, caught in our own insecurities, and so on. So both of those outcomes most likely will lead to you losing the client or you not growing your business. And they have the exact same root. That root is something inside the self, right? It's attached into the self. And so we have to constantly go in over and over and over and over and over again to fix that. Now, I'm spending a lot of time here on this because, you know, a lot of times, especially in the wellness world, and I talked about this in the previous video, people are more than happy to sell you a quick fix. They're more than happy to be like, I'm going to coach you and you're going to make $1 million or, you know, $100,000 or get 10 more clients by the end of the week or whatever. Yeah, maybe. But again, even if these people were being 100% honest and what they delivered was going to deliver you results, you still won't get those results if you haven't fixed yourself, because you're still going to shoot yourself in your foot, right? You're still going to find excuses to not get up, not start the day, not do your work, not show up for the client, not look presentable, right? Not know the depth of your practice well enough so that when you're asked questions, you can't answer them. All of those things are forms of self-sabotage that will definitely come up if you feel that you're not ready. And the only way we can feel that we're ready is to turn into the self. That's it. Full stop. It's always the case. It's always going to be the case. That shouldn't be daunting, right? Don't let that freak you out. I think it's quite liberating because it actually gives us the real key to turn in and heal, to let go of our baggage and our resistance, right? That's what we all want. I think I can say that for everybody anyways. That's what we all want, is to finally find peace inside, right? We can't do that if we're not looking inside. And the most honest way to do that, in my opinion, but I'm pretty sure that this is correct, but the most honest way to do that is to simply sit and be present with the self. No story, no belief, right? Not even worrying about your business or your clients or anything. Just let the stuff come up. And then as it comes up, we heal it. And that's going to make all of you better practitioners, right? Now, as you do this, the second tip here that I'm going to build on of this self-work is please, please, please don't get frustrated. I couldn't begin to tell you how many times in my journey with my wellness practice and my business at RootsofLife.org, where I've been like, that's it, I'm done. I'm going to throw in the towel. I'm sick of this. It's so difficult to get it up and off the ground. Don't quit. Don't quit. Don't quit. I'm here now. This is like maybe 6 years or so into it that I've been going full time with RootsofLife.org and my other iterations and working as a Reiki and holistic wellness practitioner. And I would say in that time frame, the first half of my career was big time frustration, right? Feeling that I wasn't getting anywhere, like I would get clients and they wouldn't be there, and then I would get some more and it wouldn't be there, or I couldn't find traction, I couldn't find movement forward. But I never gave up. I never gave up on myself, I never gave up on my practice, and I definitely never gave up on the daily self-practice. And, you know, for me and the world now that I work in, the people that I'm surrounded with, the other practitioners, you know, that I very much admire and that I work closely with and liaise with and learn from and share with and so on, globally or Hong Kong, wherever it may be, we all say the same thing. Most people in this profession will say that it takes about 3 full years of honest, hard work in order to get your business up and off the ground, to get the traction of it moving, right? So please don't give up. If you're just starting, keep that in mind, 3 years, right? Put that on your calendar, put that date, like 3 years from right now. Maybe you put that on your mirror or on your vision board or whatever you've got, like that's the target, right? You need to get there, and you need to ensure that in those 3 years that you're working towards that date, that all of those days in that 3-year time, to the best to the best of your ability anyways, have been honest effort, right? This is not something that you just kind of rock up to and you just think like, yeah, I'll get going on it today and I'll put in like 20 minutes and maybe it'll work, maybe not, whatever. You need to be treating this like a full-time job, right? Because this is a full-time job, right? So if you can treat it like that, treat it like that. Now, how can we treat a full-time job as such if we already have a full-time job? This is where I was when I started off on my career with Reiki and with holistic wellness. So I used to be a teacher, and that was my full-time career, and I used some of that overlap, that transitionary period, to pay the bills from my income as a teacher so that I could start to plant the seeds and then nourish the seeds of my Reiki and wellness business. And yeah, that was probably 2 years of doing that, right? And building that up. And then I finally made the leap about 2 years into my career. And it's definitely not to say that I just like, boom, I hit golden fields and everything was rosy and it was sweet and clients wherever they weren't. I had to keep working every single day, hard on the self, always on the self, first and foremost, always on the self, right? So daily self-practice yet again. But I also had to refine my practice, keep learning, keep trying to become more humble, right? Move away from the delusions of the self. Constantly study, constantly learn, constantly seek out better teachers and better opportunities to learn the things that you want to bring to your clients. All of those things are going to be the differentiating characteristic between you and your competition. I hear this bit all the time, and I'm sure this is going to resonate with a lot of you listening, especially in the West. I get a lot of students and a lot of potential clients that come to me because the language that is used in the Reiki space is quite often that the teachers, for instance, are projecting or presenting themselves as if they are a guru, as if they've figured it out and they've got this magic power to heal and they can divinely channel all this stuff. And they're so full of all of this story, all of this like belief and pompousness of the ego. That's what I'm talking about. That has to be let go of, right? At some point, that might work. That language might work to attract a new clientele, a clientele that needs the story, a clientele that needs belief, right? But that very quickly evaporates. And so if you are a teacher that is staying in that mindset of, magic and channeling and energy and the ability to do all this magical stuff and whatever, then what will most likely happen is you'll find that your client base very quickly evaporates, because you might be able to help them take one step. However, they're going to be looking for a lot more depth and a lot more honesty and humility, in my opinion, as they take subsequent steps. And hopefully you want to be there with them on their entire journey, right? You want to be working with people and supporting them from a space of humility, honesty, and respect to the practice so that you can walk with them on their entire journey. At least that's my opinion, right? So, keep that in mind as we are thinking about these things of the 3 years of turning into the self and constantly working to try to release and make yourself a better teacher. And, from doing that, as you begin to make yourself a better teacher, and if we take this idea that I'm talking about these students that maybe take their first step with you, but then there's, teachers who are stuck in the ego and the story and all of that. What ends up happening here as well very quickly is that teachers will sell themselves short, right? And listen, don't be embarrassed about this. I would hope that most of you could admit, like, yeah, I used to do that, or I'm still doing that. I'm doing that right now, or I just did that today. Admit this to yourself, because it's a very beautiful opportunity to grow and to release. In the wellness space, quite often teachers are very happy to do things like, yeah, it's the energy of the universe, so I'm just going to give it away for free. Or this is not my energy to charge, it's the energy that is flowing through all things, so who am I to say that I need to get income from this, and so on. All of those are limiting beliefs, right? If we say things like, this is the energy of the universe, so how can I charge for it? Well, guess what? Money is the energy of the universe, right? It's flowing with everything else. Money is a value of your worth, right? So if you don't value yourself, then you're going to be making statements like that, okay? Full stop. And further to this, your own self-value is going to be reflected in the type of clients that you are attracting, right? So what do I mean by that? Let me give a good example. If you look at any of the biggest motivational speakers in the wellness space, maybe the Bruce Liptons or the Tony Robbins or, whoever it may be, what are they doing? They are packing arenas full of people, right? And they're not giving away their tickets for free. They're not saying, this is just the gift of the universe and I'm very happy to just share it with everybody else. I'm happy to just give it away. They're charging, and they're charging a premium for their time and their knowledge. And why is that? Because their time and their knowledge is incredibly valuable, just like your time and your knowledge should be incredibly valuable, right? You should recognize that what you're bringing to the table has a huge amount of value to it. There is literally nothing more important in terms of an investment than education and knowledge. It is the biggest, best investment we can make in ourselves, right? Because from that knowledge, you can do whatever you want. You can grow your business. You can, continue to charge more. You can expand. You can do anything that you want. And your knowledge will become your integrity, right? So you see what I'm saying here when this idea of don't sell yourself short, don't devalue your own place and state on your journey, right? If you feel that the clients that you are attracting, if they are not valuing your service, if they are not willing to pay, for your service, or, if you're just feeling like you are not being adequately represented, then you might need to level up, right? Remember, everything in the universe, everything in our existence is a reflection of where we are internally, right? So everybody that comes to you is helping you to level up, right? Maybe you need to take a step up and graduate into a more sophisticated or more robust population of potential clients and keep going and going and going. Again, if that might sound a little bit presumptuous or whatever, go back to Tony Robbins, right? The type of people that are coming into his big arenas that he's packing, they're not just walking in and off the street because they wanted a hot drink and a place to just relax for a bit. These people are making an investment to come see him, right? So make that your trajectory. Stop selling yourself short. Don't do it, right? And I know you do. I know you will. I did. I used to. Everybody does. Because as we start anything in life, that's when we're the most vulnerable. And when we feel maybe, it's going to be the most difficult or whatever it might be, right? Stay with it. Don't sell yourself short. Keep up your self-practice, right? Keep turning into the self and don't give up. So these three aspects continue to feed on themselves, right? If you have a belief of not giving up on yourself, you've got 3 years or longer to make sure that this thing works. And every single day, you're going to attack your resistance. Well, guess what happens? As you continue to cycle through those three things, then the clients that come to you are going to be representative of your journey and of where you are, right? Instead of you being in a position where you're groveling or really worried about getting clients or whatever, people are going to start seeking you out because you have gone through all of the journey yourself. And then you have to keep going through the journey. You have to keep working on the self every day. And the reason is because you need to stay true to your practice. So the last pointer that I have here in growing your business is always remember to stay true to yourself and your practice. And what do I mean by that? Well, as you continue to do the self-work, that's going to free up resistance in your body, right? And your mind. And as you continue to never give up on those maybe 3 years or 4 years where you're going to grow your business, then you're going to see the results, right? And as those results start coming in, your client base will start to become more robust, right? More demands for your services and so on. And that's going to continue in a trajectory that continues to grow as long as you keep doing your work and as long as you stay true to yourself. Because what happens is as we continue up that trajectory and you get more and more well known, you get seduced by the ego and seduced by greed and fame and all these other things that come forward, right? We have to always remember to stay humble and stay true to ourselves, right? And so if we look at Reiki, for instance, there's a clear example of this. You know, like I said at the beginning of this video, the most important practice in Usui Reiki Roho is the daily recitation and working within the precepts, right? Well, if we follow the precepts with honesty and integrity, then we are automatically staying true to ourselves, right? We can't possibly be manipulating our clients or viewing them only as somebody who's going to pay the bills if we stay doing our work honestly, one of the precepts, right? If we keep diving into the self, then we can't be looking at the self with worry or anxiety or anger, because that would go against the precepts. We have to look at ourselves with love and joy and gratitude. The same with our business, the same with our clients, right? So as we do that, and as we stay true to the self and true to ourselves and our practice, then that becomes reflected in how we present ourselves to the outside world. And nowhere is that more evident and more clear than with teachers who are no longer true to themselves or their practice. Teachers here that are in that space are stuck in the delusions of the ego. They're stuck in statements like, I did this, I channeled this, I discovered this, I made this new thing, I. I'm sure many of you know a lot of teachers like this, or maybe you've heard them, right? I know I do. And what ends up happening is that these statements of the I, right? I did this, I can give this to you, I can show you this truth, I can. Really what that is manipulation of the student, right? It's an entrapment of the student. And again, it might help them to take that first step, but at some point, they're going to have to transcend themselves into a space of honesty in their own practice. So if you lead with integrity, if you lead with honesty, if you lead with sincerity, if you lead your practice and your teachings as being guided by the fundamental precepts of Reiki, then you are automatically already guiding people into that space, right? Not a space that is led by your belief or your interpretation, but rather a space that is led by honesty and love and tenderness and compassion for everybody who's on their journey. Because in reality, that same honesty, love, and compassion is really just reflected back on yourself, right? And you see, as you lead with integrity, then you turn into the self so that when you go back to your nightly practice, you're able to go a little bit deeper. And as you go a little bit deeper in your nightly practice and you let more go, then you're able to meet your students with more integrity, more honesty, more clarity, and you're able to meet all that you're doing in your career with more strength, right? Not only will there be no interest in selling yourself short, but at some point you'll emerge into a person that would never sell themselves short because you keep turning in. And as you go in, that's reflected on the external, right? So I hope these two videos here combined together give all of you a really strong basis for your career, right? Don't give up. Don't give up. The world needs you. The world needs all of us as healers to spread peace and to spread stillness and honesty within our practice. Perhaps even now, more than ever. The 100-year anniversary of Usui Reiki Roho, for instance, a question that I've just been asked a lot in Japan was, where do I see Reiki going? And a lot of the points that I'm putting in this video is where I think Reiki is going. We have to go to a place of more integrity. We have to find teachers that are turning inward as opposed to staying stuck in the mind, right? So I hope the points in the first video and now the follow-up video help each and every one of you on your journey. Please don't give up. Keep going. If you need any support, of course, you can always reach out to me via RootsofLife.org or flick me an email, and I'm very happy to assist you on your journey. Be well, everybody, and as always, In Gassho to all.